It was a day like any other at the Galactic Academy for Diplomacy and War Studies, a towering institution revered across the galaxy. The Academy's marble-like halls buzzed with activity as students from dozens of alien species discussed the intricacies of galactic politics, war strategies, and diplomacy. Among them, a group of elite students from the most advanced races had a shared curiosity that had lingered for months, if not years. One topic always seemed to stir conversation, a mystery no one could seem to fully unravel: humans. To them, humans were an enigma, primitive by galactic standards, lacking the advanced technologies or the millennia of experience in interstellar war that other species prided themselves on. And yet, despite their apparent insignificance, there was one fact that confounded them all: humanity was strictly forbidden from participating in galactic warfare. The ban was not just a guideline, it was an ironclad law, one enforced by the highest authorities of the Galactic Council. "Why humans?" one student, a tall, reptilian creature with shimmering scales, asked in frustration. "What threat could they possibly pose?" The others nodded in agreement. Their minds, brilliant as they were, couldn't fathom how such a seemingly minor species could warrant such drastic measures. Even the library of the Academy, vast and filled with knowledge from the farthest reaches of the galaxy, offered little explanation. Every text, every file, was either vague or heavily redacted. No solid answers. But the students were persistent, and their curiosity soon led them to a dark corner of the Academy's research wing, a place where secrets were hidden from the public eye. One student, with a knack for bypassing digital locks, had heard whispers of a top-secret battle simulation, one designed to replicate the wars of Earth. The simulation was said to be the closest anyone could come to understanding the true nature of humanity's combat history. It was off-limits, of course, but rules had never stopped them before. "This is it," the same student whispered as the final layer of security was breached. Before them, an ancient-looking console flickered to life, the screen glowing with the emblem of the Galactic Council. "We'll finally see what they've been hiding." There was a tense silence as they hovered over the controls, debating their next move. The decision was unanimous. They had come too far to turn back now. With a single command, the simulation began to load. The students watched as scenes of Earth's past wars flickered across the screen. But they weren't prepared for what came next. As the simulation engulfed them, it was as if they were transported into the very heart of human history, standing amidst soldiers who fought not for glory, but for survival. Each battle was more intense, more desperate than the last. And as they stood there, feeling the weight of centuries of human conflict, the reality of the situation began to sink in. This wasn't just a study of primitive warfare. This was something far darker, far more terrifying than any of them could have anticipated. The moment they activated the simulation, the alien students found themselves thrust into a world unlike anything they had ever encountered. What had once been a sterile, academic exercise quickly morphed into something far more real, far more visceral. The simulated environment was no mere hologram, it felt alive. The air thickened with the smoke of burning cities, and the ground trembled beneath the relentless barrage of artillery fire. They stood amidst warriors of Earth's ancient past, bronze shields clashing against iron swords. At first, they dismissed it as a quaint recreation of primitive combat. They had seen ancient wars from their own species, battles fought with crude weapons and simplistic tactics. But soon, it became clear that what they were witnessing was no mere spectacle. The soldiers they observed, though lacking the advanced technologies the students were used to, fought with a ferocity and tactical depth that took them by surprise. The humans didn't fight with the cold, calculated precision of the galaxy's advanced species. Instead, they adapted. When a line broke, they regrouped and countered with a level of ingenuity that stunned the students. They exploited every weakness, every mistake, with a swiftness that left the aliens reeling. The battlefield was not just a place of conflict, it was an arena of survival. And for humans, survival was everything. As the timeline of the simulation advanced, the scenarios grew more complex, the tactics more ruthless. The students were pulled into wars spanning centuries, medieval sieges where humans starved out entire cities, guerrilla warfare in dense jungles where no one was safe, and finally, modern conflicts where soldiers wielded technology that, though still primitive by galactic standards, was wielded with terrifying precision. The humans were always outnumbered, outgunned, yet they never surrendered. They used deception, ambushes, psychological warfare, anything to turn the tide in their favor. One of the students tried to end the simulation, but the controls wouldn't respond. Panic began to set in. What had started as an academic curiosity had turned into something far more dangerous. They were no longer observing human warfare, they were trapped inside it. The battlefield shifted again. They were now in the midst of World War II, tanks rumbling across shattered landscapes, soldiers charging through smoke-filled streets. The students struggled to keep up with the rapidly changing tactics. One moment they were watching trench warfare, and the next they were caught in the chaos of air raids. There was no pattern, no predictability. The humans seemed to thrive in this chaos, turning even the most desperate situations into opportunities. The students, with all their advanced knowledge and training, found themselves overwhelmed by the sheer brutality of it all. This was unlike anything they had prepared for, and they began to realize why humanity had been kept at a distance, why they were forbidden from participating in the galaxy's wars. The simulation continued to malfunction, cycling through Earth's most devastating wars. And as the scenarios grew more intense, so did the sense of dread. The students weren't just witnessing history, they were living it. As the simulation dragged on, the alien students found themselves grappling with something far more complex than they had anticipated. The humans fought differently. There was no clear pattern, no predictable strategy. Instead, they adapted with alarming speed. Every time the students thought they had a grasp on the situation, the humans would shift, change their tactics, and counter in ways that left their alien observers bewildered. Guerrilla warfare was the first shock. The students were used to battlefields defined by order, clear lines of attack, and formal strategies. But humans had no such restrictions. They melted into the forests, the cities, the very landscape itself. Striking from the shadows, disappearing before retaliation could even begin, they used the terrain as both weapon and shield. The students, with all their advanced understanding of war, couldn't keep up. It wasn't just the physical combat, there was a psychological element at play. The humans didn't just fight to win, they fought to wear down their enemies, to make them doubt their own strength. The relentless hit-and-run tactics turned every inch of land into a battlefield, and the students, for the first time, felt truly outmatched. Then came the sieges. The alien species in the simulation had superior technology, but the humans fought with a tenacity that defied logic. Starving, surrounded, facing seemingly insurmountable odds, they never gave in. They built fortifications from rubble, used crude but effective methods to defend their positions, and most unsettling of all, they were willing to endure unimaginable suffering if it meant gaining even the smallest advantage. The students couldn't understand it. How could a species so relatively weak in terms of technology and biology fight with such unyielding resolve? But the most disorienting discovery was the humans' use of psychological warfare. It wasn't just the physical battles that defined human conflict. The students watched in awe as the humans turned fear and confusion into weapons. They spread misinformation, played on the insecurities of their enemies, and used deception in ways the students had never considered. They made their enemies question their own decisions, their own strength. The students realized that in human warfare, the mind was just as much a battlefield as the ground they fought on. With every shift in strategy, the students' understanding of human warfare grew more fragmented. There was no single formula for their success. Instead, humans thrived in chaos. They turned their own weaknesses, whether it was lack of resources, inferior technology, or fewer numbers, into strengths. Where other species would crumble under such circumstances, humans became more dangerous. They adapted, evolved, and learned from every defeat, making them not just survivors, but conquerors. The students began to see why humans were banned from galactic warfare. It wasn't that they were inferior, it was that they were unpredictable, uncontainable. No matter how many advantages their enemies had, humans always found a way to level the playing field, and often, to turn the tide completely in their favor. The weight of this realization settled over the students, leaving them shaken. They had always assumed that the ban was based on humanity's lack of sophistication. Now they saw the truth. The ban was a form of protection for the rest of the galaxy. Humans were not just a danger to their enemies, they were a danger to the very fabric of war itself. And yet, even as the students began to understand this, they still couldn't fully grasp the full scope of the threat. There was something darker, something more terrifying, that they had yet to uncover. As the simulation finally began to wind down, the alien students were left shaken, but still no closer to fully understanding the ban on humanity. The battles they had witnessed, while brutal, didn't seem enough to justify the sweeping restrictions placed on the species. But just as they thought it was over, a hidden file unlocked within the system. What they saw next would change everything. The file detailed a classified event from centuries ago, something that had been carefully buried by the Galactic Council. It was an encounter between a powerful alien empire, technologically advanced, militarily dominant, and a small human force. The records didn't give away much at first, just the names of the alien species involved and a vague description of the skirmish. But as the simulation replayed the event, the truth came to light. The alien empire, confident in their superiority, had underestimated humanity. They had assumed that humans, with their rudimentary technology and seemingly unremarkable combat skills, would be easy to conquer. They were wrong. The humans didn't fight with the precision or predictability of the advanced galactic races. Instead, they used everything at their disposal, every scrap of land, every piece of broken technology, every moment of hesitation from their enemy. What started as a simple conquest turned into a nightmare for the alien force. The humans turned the battlefield into a maze of traps and ambushes. They spread misinformation, making the alien commanders question their own intelligence reports. They forced the alien soldiers into situations where their advanced weapons became liabilities rather than assets. The more the alien force tried to impose order, the more the humans twisted the rules of engagement, breaking every expectation. It was a massacre. The superior alien force, with their fleets and armies, was decimated. Not because the humans had better technology or more soldiers, but because they fought with an unpredictable savagery the galaxy had never seen. They were relentless, never stopping, never surrendering, using tactics that defied reason but worked with devastating effect. For the alien students watching the simulation, it was horrifying. The idea that a species so primitive could dismantle a force so advanced shattered everything they had believed about warfare. It wasn't just about strength or technology. The humans had something else, something far more dangerous, a mindset that saw every conflict as a matter of survival, where no weapon was too unconventional, no tactic too extreme. The students began to understand. The ban wasn't because humans were inferior. It was because they were too dangerous. Their potential for destruction, when fully unleashed, posed a threat not just to their enemies, but to the very fabric of galactic society. The Galactic Council had witnessed this firsthand, and they had been forced to act. What the students saw next drove the point home. The simulation replayed the final moments of the battle. The alien commanders, desperate and out of options, tried to negotiate. They offered peace, surrender, anything to stop the human onslaught. But the humans didn't stop. Their tactics were not based on diplomacy or negotiation. They were based on one goal: total victory, no matter the cost. As the simulation ended, the students sat in stunned silence. The humans had fought with a level of determination that bordered on the inhuman. It wasn't just warfare, it was survival. And in that moment, the students finally grasped the true reason behind humanity's ban from galactic conflict. It wasn't about keeping humans out. It was about keeping the galaxy safe from what humans were capable of when pushed to the edge. As the simulation flickered to an end, the alien students sat in silence, still processing the carnage they had witnessed. But just when they thought they had seen the worst of it, another layer of information began to unravel before them, deeper and far more chilling than they could have imagined. It was as though the system itself was forcing them to see something that had been buried for millennia, hidden even from the most powerful species in the galaxy. A final classified file revealed the truth, a secret the Galactic Council had guarded for centuries. Humanity was never meant to join the galaxy. When first contact was made, the Council observed them, expecting a primitive species struggling to survive on their small, blue planet. But what they found shook them to their core. The Council recognized something in humanity that they had not seen in any other species, a latent potential so vast, so terrifying, that they made an unprecedented decision. They isolated Earth. Disguised it as a matter of time before humanity could catch up to galactic standards, but in reality, they feared what would happen if humans ever stepped fully onto the galactic stage. The students watched in stunned horror as the simulation displayed hidden reports, fragments of conversations, and classified documents. The Council saw in humans a unique adaptability, a ruthless ingenuity in warfare that defied all reason. It wasn't their technology, their intelligence, or even their numbers that concerned the Council. It was their unpredictability, their willingness to bend or break the rules of conflict, their capacity to learn and evolve under pressure. Humans were capable of doing what no other species could, turning their disadvantages into strengths. It wasn't just that they could fight well, it was that they could change the nature of war itself, adapting faster than their enemies could respond. This wasn't just a threat to individual species, it was a threat to the entire galactic order. The Council understood that if humanity ever harnessed its full potential, they wouldn't merely participate in galactic warfare, they would dominate it. And the rest of the galaxy would have no answer. The students exchanged glances, each one realizing the gravity of the situation. This was why the humans had been isolated, why they were kept from the galactic wars. It wasn't a matter of protecting them from advanced species, it was the opposite. The Council was protecting the galaxy from them. They saw flashes of the Galactic Council's early decisions, the deliberate effort to limit human advancement, the covert operations to keep Earth underdeveloped, all designed to prevent humanity from realizing its true potential. But deep down, even the Council knew it was only a matter of time. The day would come when humans would rise beyond Earth, and when they did, the galaxy would never be the same. The students emerged from the simulation, their minds racing. They had sought knowledge, but what they found left them changed forever. The ban on humanity wasn't just a precaution, it was an act of self-preservation by the entire galaxy. But as they left the simulation chamber, one thought lingered above all else: the ban could not hold forever. Sooner or later, humanity would rise, and when they did, the galaxy would be forced to confront a power it had tried to hide for centuries. And in that moment, the students realized they had glimpsed the future. It wasn't a question of if humanity would join the stars, it was only a matter of when.